Hi guys, my name is Shane Cashin, and you are watching Tennis Ninja TV. Aloha guys, welcome again to Tennis Ninja TV. I'm your host Shane Cashin, the Tennis Ninja, and guys, I've got a guest of mine today that has been a good friend of mine for how many years? In fact, he was at the club at the very first place I got a job, and I was stringing rackets at this place at the pro shop. I want to introduce a good friend of mine today who's a USPTA coach on the USTA Hawaii Division Board. He's the newly named director of the Kailua Racquet Club, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jared Carstenn. Jared, welcome to Tennis Ninja TV.
Thanks for having me, Shane. I've been looking forward to this. I've enjoyed the stuff you've been putting out, and you're doing a great job helping connect tennis people in Hawaii during this time, especially.
Congratulations on your new title at the club. I know it's probably place has been dead since this whole quarantine thing happened, so that must be an interesting start to your directing. But Jared, what's been happening in the quarantine, man? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Yeah, that's it's funny you say that. Officially, I became the director of tennis here on April 1st, which was about 5 days after the mandatory shutdown came across for tennis across the state. So since my transition into this new role, we have not had a single day where we are open for business, and that is we are now approaching 2 months. We're about 7 weeks in, and so it'll be interesting to see what happens once we do get open. It's a role that I have been working toward for my entire career, and we'll talk more about kind of how I got started as we go on. But something that my mentor and former boss, the former GM here at the Racquet Club, had prepared me for. Bruce Nagel prepared me for a long time. It's a little weird. It's time to get started as director, but it's like hurry up and wait a little while. But at least with this play, we are completely prepared. I've spent this almost 2 months doing my homework, just spending time at the club and kind of really diving into the things that I'm going to be asked to take care of.
I've also seen, your plugs on Instagram doing like that little music bracket. I thought that was pretty dope. Seeing your little tennis tips and things that you put up for the club, and it's really cool that you're doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important, whether it's during a downtime or any time in your career, to make sure that you're not singularly focused on something that's going to take over your whole life. You've got to leave time to pursue passions outside of tennis. I've been involved in tennis my whole life. I've been in the industry since I was 14, and it has left little time for other ventures. So all of a sudden, this little break, as small, as insignificant it was, allowed me to pursue some passion projects, as well as I've seen other people do the same. And I think everybody's going to come back to their normal life even happier than when they left.
Because everybody knows you as Coach Jared. But not many people, unless they've seen the night doubles, which my plug right here, I got my night double shirt on. What's your story been in terms of playing tennis?
Well, that's funny. That's a pretty good insight, Shane, because I agree. I don't think a lot of people consider me it's always Coach Jared. It's never really player Jared. And some of it is rightfully so. I did not have a prestigious junior career. I barely kind of tested the waters of college tennis out here. And it was something that when it came for me, I played a ton of sports, and tennis was, as far as playing goes and pursuing it, was not at the top of my list as far as what I wanted to do when I played. I was really into baseball specifically, and later on I was pretty into skateboarding through my teens, and those were pursuits that I thought maybe I had a future in playing. But when it came to tennis, it was always on the coaching side. My dad was a tennis coach, so I hung around with tennis coaches. The tennis industry always seemed like a viable career path. But for me, for playing tennis, I was just always okay. And I'm a slightly better version of that now. I'm a smarter player. I've learned the game through teaching, which I think a lot of pros can really excel, especially if you weren't the highest level player coming up. Teaching tennis can make you a better player. I know it's happened with you, Shane. that your teaching the past decade has turned you into a completely different player. And I consider myself in that same boat. I am not the player I was in my teens. I'm much better now. But right, my focus is on coaching. And so the times I do get to play during some of the big tournaments like night doubles or some of the tournaments that you run or the ones around the state, those are my few opportunities, along with some USTA league matches to play. But my story of growing up in tennis really isn't so much one of playing as it is one of coaching, even from a very young age.
But I do know you as a player, Jared, that, you know, a lot of people know you from the men's night doubles that's hosted at your club, at KRC. You know, tell us a little bit about those experiences and how maybe that's even helped you as a player.
Oh, there is no doubt that the Kailua night doubles is one of the most ridiculously difficult testing grounds for a tennis player because it's all players from all levels playing up to an extremely high level, from former top college and pro players and open level players, and then, you know, guys like you and me that are solid coaching players and club players, and then even more beginner adult players. But that doubles tournament every night, to play in front of a couple hundred people, it doesn't matter how much practice you've put in. No one outside of professional tennis players on a large scale are comfortable playing in front of that crowd. And we're coming up on almost 50 years of this tournament. I've been lucky enough to play in 17 of them, the past 17, and done, I would say, fairly well in the past 10 years of this doubles event. But that has really shaped my entire outlook on the importance of tennis and what it can be. We see it in the U.S. Open and Wimbledon, how much fun everybody's having at those events. But you don't see it on the lower level. Tennis is pushed off to the side, but all of a sudden, just hidden away in Kailua, we're lucky enough to have this magnificent and humongous doubles event that brings out some of the top players from around the state in high school and college and pro, some people from Japan, some people from California, anyone with Hawaii ties and a will to win. And it has it being put on that stage, especially, as you'll know, with added pressure of being a coach and having your students there. And then for me, this being hosted at the club where I'm the head pro and now the director, the pressure, it really forces you to be the best version of yourself, and there's no hiding out there. You know, you and your partner, and if you make a mistake or if you act out a line and you don't exhibit the best sportsmanship, which I was guilty of one specific time one year, which I'd never let happen again, but it was a defining moment in my life, and it's kind of shaped the way I've become and I've approached the game. Extremely competitive and emotional and aggressive, but always a sportsman. And that's why I try to teach my kids. I don't want them to be kind of blasé, doing the right thing just because it's the right thing. You should be doing things that you care about. Everything you do should have a reason. It's okay to get upset if you lose, or upset you didn't play well. It's okay to cry. It's okay to scream. You must be respectful, but you have to care about what you're doing. The night doubles tournament has taught me more than anything that no matter the level, the importance that tennis has to the person's playing it cannot be measured. It's individual to that person, and it's put on a grand stage here for all the tennis community in Hawaii.
It is a electric atmosphere that tournament creates, and it's so cool to hear even how this tournament has even taken your game to the next level and has even helped you just have a bigger perspective in tennis. So thank you for sharing that, Jared.
For sure. We're not the only ones. Some of the top players that have ever played the tournament that have won it, some guys who have come off tour and in our tournament, said it's one of the most kind of horrifying experience going up there serving a few. Like, if you're serving for match point, all of a sudden it's a big deal. These guys have experienced much more than we have dealt with it much worse than we have. So you're not alone in that situation. And like I said, Shane, we put you're on center court, or I go on center court. It's someone that people care about. It's a club member or a local legend or a local league player. That's who people want to see.
No, that's so cool, man. Tennis Ninja will definitely have to get down there, and we'll do some fun stuff again, I think, in the future. Which, thank you, by the way, for letting me film all those years at the club. It's just, you've helped me make my name in a way. And, you know, it all started with just sharing tennis, and it's evolved into this monster. Where did Jared Carstenn come from? How did he get to Hawaii? I know a little bit about you that you're originally from Florida, but I don't know any of the other details, man. You mind sharing that with us?
Absolutely. It's kind of funny. Some people, I think a lot of people think that I'm from here because I've been here so long, or maybe I've just kind of faded. I blend in with the background and the architecture. That's like, well, Coach Jared is there, but it's been, I mean, coming up on it's 18 years now, so 20th anniversary right around the corner. I am originally from Florida, so big tennis community where I came from. It's a humongous change coming as a 18-year-old, 19-year-old from out of high school coming to college in Hawaii. The reason I came was my mom moved here to teach at Hawaii Pacific University when I was in high school. So I kind of had plans to follow one life path to go to the University of Florida and potentially study journalism or architecture, which were my two academic passions through high school. I moved to Hawaii and just as a shot, like what an amazing chance. I'd never been here. But you know, with my mom coming, I had a little bit of a safety net. So I came out and it was fairly immediately the place for me. It became home. I got a job here at the Racquet Club within a couple of weeks of moving out here. But yeah, it was a really drastic change. It was something incredibly life altering. But at the same time, that single move, probably decided for me that tennis was going to end up being my career. I can't imagine tennis would be such a significant part of my life if it wasn't for the move to Hawaii. And that's a personal thing for my move, but it also is a testament to the amazing tennis community in Hawaii and how it kind of wrapped its arms around me, and which is why I feel like I am from here. Like I have been here forever. I feel like this is home, and that's how I got here. Came for college, and I never left. And my mom is still here, and I see her all the time. My family's back in the rest of my family's back in Florida, and I get to see them a bunch too when I can. And it was absolutely the right move for me. But yeah, I did not just appear at the Racquet Club, as a lot of people assumed. Did not just manifest. I am from Florida, and now I'm from Hawaii.
I guess it'd be kind of a redundant question to ask. Have you gotten used to the rock over here compared to your home state of Florida? I mean, are there any similarities or any differences you see that are pretty key?
The differences are outweigh the similarities. In Florida, you get temperate weather, and then it stops there. And I'm from North Florida. It's a little more rural, a little more southern, which is the part of Florida that I associate with, and the part of the United States that I really associate with is the southern culture, and that southern hospitality does have parallels with aloha, with the way we treat people out here. Those things are connections, but there are far more differences than similarities. But have I gotten used to it? I was in Florida for 18 years, and in 3 months from now, I'll have been in Hawaii for 18 years. So it's the same. I've been here as long as I've been there. I'm not coherent for the first few years of my life as an infant in Florida. So no, I've gotten used to it. There's nothing to get used to. This is the best place on the planet.
Let's get to the meat and potatoes. The history you've had at the Kailua Racquet Club, as you've said already, has spawned since early age, and it really has been the majority of your life as well as your career. Take us through how exactly you got to the club in the first place, and every experience you've had leading up to this point, now maybe going full circle and becoming director. What's that been like?
Yeah, Shane, you really nailed it. It's been a major part of my career, but just as much, it's been a humongous part of my life. That you couldn't have said that better. This club, just as tennis, has become my life. My dad was a tennis coach. Like I said, growing up, he was a great tennis player, and he taught on the side. He was a high school teacher mainly, and then taught in the summers and on the weekends. So I became very familiar with teachers and with coaches, and a lot of his friends were coaches. So I was kind of a kid that was around the coaches more than I was around other players. And my mom's a college professor, and dad's a high school teacher and a tennis coach. They were both gymnastics instructors when I was young. So coaching and teaching is in my blood, and it's also a big part of my friendship line throughout my life. When I was in high school, I had just turned 14 or 15, I got a job at the local racket club in Ocala, Florida called Fort King. And I did everything from taking court reservations to stringing rackets to helping out with the juniors as a junior assistant pro during the summertime to helping when they needed court maintenance. I mean, we did everything. And I did that for 4 or 5 years, all the way through my high school up until I moved out here. So at 18, 19 years old, I had about 4 or 5 years in the industry experience doing things that a lot of other kids hadn't done. Then I moved to Hawaii, and I was able to come into KRC, and GM Bruce Nagel was here at the time, and I walked in the office and basically told him what I just told you. Tennis is all I've ever done, and I'd like to continue to do it while I am at HBU going to school. And he obliged and offered me the opportunity to do that same kind of thing. I was kind of like a little bit of I could do a little bit of everything. I didn't do anything well. I'll tell you that much. I didn't do anything well at all. I was pretty bad at absolutely everything. But the ticket was you could put me into any of those places, and I at least would fill a gap in what was needed, whether it was around the grounds or in the kitchen or in the office or on the tennis court. Eventually, I get a little bit more time spent in the teaching aspect of it, kind of learned to become a better teaching pro by doing it. And, for 7, 8 years, it kind of goes along like that until I start realizing I could do something special with it. And Bruce makes me the head pro of the tennis academy here. And the relationship flourishes, and with me and the club and the members, and with Bruce, and our tournaments grow, and like the spotlight goes on me a little bit more, and we get there, and as the transition comes, and Bruce moves on to the next part of his life as he retires from the racket club, I get into the tennis director role, and I'm excited to take on another 20 years of it.
But I'm curious, what's it been like running the club as especially the night doubles? You're one of the guys behind the scenes making this happen, and you're the MC, you're a tennis player, you're helping the grounds out, you're coaching the junior program. That's another thing that Jared does, guys, and he teaches adult members. What's the experience been like working at the club?
That question is almost impossible to answer, to say kind of what it is that I do, or the cast around me and the other members of the team here really do. When it comes down to it, you kind of said it. At any given day, you could wear like 10 different hats. Yeah, I'm a tennis coach. I teach the juniors, and we have a humongous adult program that I'm super proud of here. And then we host the largest local adult tournaments in the men's and the women's night doubles. And those are the things that everyone sees. Everyone sees our lesson program. Everyone sees the tournaments. And like you're saying, Shane, whenever you're around, it's something happening. It's like a party. And it really is the vibe a lot of the times here. League play, tournaments, lessons, junior matches, parties, events. It's always something going on. But it's the stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people do not see. And I couldn't really go over all of it in any kind of detail in any short amount of time. But what has made this place so special is that idea that every member or every employee, whether part-time or full-time, comes in here and kind of buys into this ownership of the club, that we do have something amazing here at Kailua, where we are a little bit the center of the tennis world in Hawaii some of the time. With all this going on, eyes are on us as one of the only really proper tennis-only private big clubs, right? So we kind of have the spotlight on us, and that we have an example that we're setting. And everyone involved in the club, from me up and from me down, takes that very seriously and uses those opportunities to really try to showcase how great it is to be here. And we do love it. But yeah, what it's like on a day-to-day basis, Shane, you could follow me around for the day, and some days you'd be like, oh, this is great. And some days you'd be like, oh man, this is tennis. And then but you realize that to make any of it work, you got to figure out a way to make it all work. And I feel lucky sometimes to have the opportunity to wear so many hats. I feel like I could step into any situation in the tennis world or not and feel very comfortable because of the opportunities to be pushed out of my comfort zone that this job has given me.
Is there any particular like memories that stand out to you that you remember so far being at the club? Like any highlights of your just being there?
Yeah, there's a few of them, and it's so much. I wouldn't say they're specific, like singular memories, although there's a couple. There's more of like feelings that you get at certain times in your day.
Mm.
At there's days here. There's a Saturday, a couple times a session or a month or who knows. Day to day, there's no telling what's happening. But I'll get here to the club at 6:30 or 7, and I teach a couple hours of lessons. Maybe I've got to play a league match also, or get to play a league match. Maybe I do something around the club itself. Then junior team tennis gets started at 1 o'clock, and your team comes over, and we have an awesome match with kids who are like best friends in school, and now they're playing against each other on the team. And you've got 10 and 12 of your parents there. I got 10 and 12 of my parents there, and our junior courts are packed, right? And the lesson courts just got done being packed. And the club members are all playing all day long. And the leagues, we have 5 back-to-back league matches that fill up the club. The cafe's open, and it's just jamming. Like, it's the best, as far as tennis goes, it's the best place to be in the tennis world. And so we go through that whole day. Or maybe, and then we're done, and then I got to drive to Mililani and do a match there. But then we come back, and I got to finish up lessons at the club. But it'll be like a 10 or 12-hour day, as you know, when our weekends are crazy. And it'll be 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I'm back at the club. The sun's setting over the mountains. We have the most amazing, beautiful view over our back courts there. And some members have finished playing, and they've got their poo-poos and their wine, and they've got their whiskey and their poke, and they're all, I just finished working a 10-hour day, and somebody goes, Jared, come have a seat with us. And there's 10 or 12 of these members that have been getting together for decades. And I'm like dying, I'm hurting. And I go, and I'm like, you know what, I'll go and I'll sit, I'll, hydrate, drink some water, or I'll have a glass of wine with them, or they got boiled peanuts or something going on. And it's always something going on in the social aspect of my professional life that'll catch me once a week, where the sun's setting and the members are just having a celebratory drink after an amazing day of tennis, and asking about the kids in my junior program that they don't even know, but they care because they understand that's the future. And they ask about my day, and I don't tell them it was a 10-hour day and I'm dying. I just say, just happy to be here and stoked that tennis is my life. And at the end of about a hard a day of work as I'm going to do, I get to sit around with some people and just talk tennis and have a cocktail. And the really wonderful social aspect of tennis in Hawaii in general, and my job here at the Racquet Club has had such an impact on the quality of my life that I try to take that vibe that you can see I'm gushing about, and I try to send it out to the rest of the tennis world. That's why when I see you, you and me, we're always smiling, because it's like we're at least on a path of, I'm a little older than you. We're on the path of what we're trying to accomplish. Sure. And it's led to some of the other things I do outside of tennis, which I know we're going to talk about, or outside of teaching, which we'll talk about taking that feeling that I just had and bringing it out to everybody else. Because that's kind of the memory, is the combination of those feelings, I guess.
For years, you go to the night doubles and you'd hear your voice talking, but it's not necessarily like you talking right next to me. It's coming from a speaker. And what's happening is the on-court interviews on the center court with various players in the tournament, and you're interviewing them and asking questions. It's like a tennis analyst would, like Brad Gilbert or any of those guys. And, recently with the Hawaii Open, the premier pro tennis event in Hawaii, you serve as the MC of the event, and you get to interview, world-class players like Kei Nishikori, Jeannie Bouchard, Elise Mertens, Sam Querrey. I mean, I'm naming a few names, guys. Jared, what's that been like? How, like, a little humble thing that you do for fun all of a sudden becomes an extra dimension of your tennis career.
It's the coolest thing, Shane. It's something that Bruce in his time, kind of developing the night doubles from a tennis tournament to a real spectacle, was, you know, I don't know if I was involved in the first times we did it, but definitely fairly early on, where we start to treat our tournament as if it is one of these grand slams. I mean, the tournament is 2 weeks long. We've got hundreds of people there watching. So we get the players to fill out some information about themselves, and rather than just getting their tennis balls, going out to the court, playing their match, then returning and reporting their scores and going home, during their warm-ups, Bruce gets out and takes this information and starts talking, and it's fun stuff. What's in your fridge? If you had a superpower, what would it be? You know, where are you from, and where'd you go to school, and all that stuff too. But just some really fun stuff, your pet peeves, or something about your partner, because it's a doubles tournament. So we start doing that, and then at the end of the match, instead of just time to go home, win or lose, we take the microphone out there, Bruce hands it over to me, and I interview the players about their experience in the match that they either just won or lost, and their thoughts on tennis and life. And sometimes it goes really well and it's very funny, or sometimes they don't want to talk, or sometimes they don't speak English very well. Some of the college players that play in the event from all over the world, and I mean, like I said before, nobody's comfortable playing in front of 150 people. Approximately 0 people enjoy talking in front of 150 or 200 people, especially if they just lost a tennis match. So we kind of force it upon them and have fun with it. And we joke about it, and we make them laugh and smile after a loss. Or if it's after a win, they realize it's not that big of a deal. They thank their opponents and they say thank you to the crowd, and they kind of feel a little bit sheepish again after looking so Herculean on the tennis court. They come right back down to earth, and they're just maybe it's a goofy 16-year-old who's going to go on to play D1, but turns out he's just still kind of a goofy kid. We do that through the night doubles events, and then the Hawaii Open come. And actually, like I said about the Challenger, we had Jack Sock and Robbie Ginepri and Bobby Reynolds and Amber Delich. Stevie Johnson was here at the 2012 Honolulu Challenger, which is a yearly event in Hawaii, big time. But we were able to host it at the Kailua Racquet Club. We did the same thing. We got Jack Sock to tell us what kind of underwear he wears, whether there was boxers or brief, and he pulled down his pants and showed everybody his spandex on the warm-up court. So, like, that's the kind of vibe that we're like, oh my gosh, all we had to do was present the opportunity for the players and the crowd to kind of laugh at each other, and it became a much more family-oriented experience. So when Hawaii Open came as a 125K WTA event 4 years ago, I reached out to the organizers of that event, basically told them what I just told you, and said, if you've got a spot or interest in someone like me, and because of your videos, Shane, that are on YouTube, I sent them clips of me doing that. I was like, if you're interested in this, I'm here for you. They reached out immediately and said, absolutely, we want you to do this, but here's the deal. It's like, we want you to do more. We've got a pro-am, we've got press conferences, we've got all this stuff. We just need someone to talk. And because I presented it as like, I can be your connection with not only tennis players in Hawaii, but Hawaii itself. As these players are coming from all around the world, Hawaii, it's just so special. It's just so different. I was like, you're going to want someone here to connect the tournament and the players with the people of Hawaii. And I felt very comfortable and uniquely qualified to do that on a tennis court. The tournament becomes this humongous pro invitational. And like you said, all of a sudden I go from interviewing people in the top 200 and 300, but that was really cool in the 125K though. Cici Bellis, Sabine Lisicki, Sarah Irani. There were, Amanda Anisimova, who's now just running up the rankings. A ton of players, big time players, came through that. Then we go to the pro event, the Hawaii Open, as we now see it, a pro invitational. And we've got, like you said, Jeannie Bouchard and Elise Mertens, Kei Nishikori, Milos Raonic, Coco Vandeweghe. We had Monica Puig, Garbina Muguruza. I mean, it's crazy, the names over the past couple of years, and it's the same thing. I just try to make it so they're having some fun, and the people, because people out here, they're not so interested in the stats and it's got to be fun. It's got to be Hawaii, and that social aspect I talked about by memory here at the Racquet Club. I want to create that for everybody who comes to the tennis event to feel like Hawaii tennis is a little bit different if they travel in for this event or not, making them feel like they're part of something, from the players to the tournaments to the fans. And yeah, it's been really cool. Been able to do some TV and National Tennis Channel. It's been awesome.
But I gotta ask you, just because, I mean, you went from, interviewing us, recreational guys at the night doubles event, we feel like rock stars, honestly, which is so awesome. What is it like standing next to someone like Kei Nishikori and all of a sudden having to ask him a question? Or you talk to Coco Vandeweghe, hey, how was that match? What's that experience been like?
I'm telling you, Shane, I walk up to these players just like I'm sitting here chatting with you and the guys and you, everybody on the tournament here at the Racquet Club. I don't look at it when you're out there. They're a tennis player too. They're really bummed that they double faulted 3 times in that one set, and they're happy that they won the match. It's funny. It really, sports is always this great equalizer, and it's this great common ground. I'm nobody to them. Over the course of the week, we get to know each other, and they've all been super nice and really respectful. But I'm out there talking to Angelique Kerber after a match when she's talked to the entire world after winning Wimbledon. And I'm sitting there chatting to her about, whether or not she's going to go surfing tomorrow, or talk to Jeannie Bouchard whether or not she had a poke bowl yesterday, or if she's hanging out with Michelle Wee on the weekends. But it's talking to them, it's just the same. They're just people too, and we are all just tennis players. I expected to be a little more starstruck and nervous during the process, but I never ran into it. I am not the player, or I don't have the knowledge. I'm not the celebrity that they are, and I never will be any of those things. But they always looked right at me like I was in charge of the situation. I've always felt respected. I was given every bit of power by the TV stations and by the tournament organizers to do and say whatever I want. I never felt hamstrung by it, and they were really respectful of it. And so to answer your question, it felt fine. Shane, if we were sitting here and you were talking to me, or you're talking to someone, but it's not me, say it's Kei, or it's Milos, or it's or Taylor Fritz that we had, you'd be the same. You'd be fine too. You realize that when you're on this common ground, that we're all tennis players and we're all tennis people, everything else kind of goes out the window.
You're so right, Jared, that it's, in the end, we're all human, right? And we're all just going through life. We're doing life together, and we happen to do it on the tennis court. And it must be so cool to relate with these guys, and not just I guess get so caught up in the aura of, who they are and all that.
Yeah, the tournament, basically everybody gets there a week in advance. We've got interviews and press conferences and events and parties and the pro-am that I host too. And then the 2 or 3 days of the tournament, or the week of the tournament as it was when it was a WTA event, you do get to know them. And they're 99% of the time, all these professional players are just, Hawaii helps. They're very excited to be in Hawaii, and knowing that they're loving it. Some of them never been, some of them come often, but you do get to know them, and I've had the chance to really make some good relationships with people on tour and in the tennis industry just from that short little snapshot. So when you see, and when I see these players, the people on TV at Australian Open and the US Open, and those relationships between the people on the camera and those players, they know each other. They've gotten to know each other because it happens very quickly. Yeah. Everyone's so transient. Everyone's moving around all over the place. You've got to make kind of fast friends, and you know who you can trust immediately. And they all kind of get to know each other because they know, like you said, we're in this life together. We're just on the tennis court while we're doing it. And so they getting to know some of these players over the years, and some friendships have developed is really cool and makes me optimistic for the future. If I am involved in that, I always want to have some involvement in that industry. involvement in the entertainment side of tennis. I think it's something. I think I'm a pretty good tennis coach, and I'm an okay tennis player. But there is something about the like you said. I bring something to the screen or the microphone that makes me stand out a little bit. If it may be the thing that I'm better at than any other part of tennis. So it'll always be a big part of what I do. And my experiences with the Hawaii Open have only backed up that foundation. They have made it very obvious that it's something that I'll enjoy at any level.
Well, Jared, that kicks off a new segment right now that I'm going to debut, guys. Normally, I do a Q&A with the interviewers that I'm doing and who I'm interviewing. However, I've been asking questions this whole time, so I thought I'd change it up this time. So, Jared, you're going to be part of the first official rapid-fire question round that I want to do with you. And basically what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you some questions, and they'll be real quick. So if you're able to keep the answers real short and we just kind of bang, 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 go through different topics, you just answer them to the best of your ability, and we'll have some fun with this. So.
Oh man, okay. I like to talk a lot, so quick answers. It's gonna be tricky for me. I'm gonna do it though.
Without further ado, guys, here we go. So, favorite color?
Green.
Favorite music artist?
Oh, Newfound Glory.
Role model growing up?
My dad for my whole life.
Racket of choice, the current racket you use?
Using the head racket, Speed.
Favorite hair product or beard product?
Oh, I love a good kind of rainforest smelling beard oil.
Wow, very particular. I'm impressed. Most memorable Hawaii tennis experience?
First night doubles. The first time playing night doubles, all my friends watching, insanity.
Favorite beach?
Waimanalo.
Interesting. Favorite place to eat?
Oh, I love plate lunch. Fat Boys.
Ooh, I can attest to that. Hawaii clothing of choice?
I love a button-down Hawaiian shirt.
Nice. You can catch those guys in the interviews he does on the videos. Singles or doubles?
Doubles, forever, doubles.
Serve or return?
Serve.
Favorite pro tennis player?
Oh, man. Of all time, Andre Agassi for a player, Sebastian Grosjean for creativity, and currently Daniil Medvedev because it's just so strange. It's so unorthodox. I love it.
Favorite Grand Slam tournament?
Something about Wimbledon, and it's so classy and just calm, and I don't know. Wimbledon.
And last question, take all the time you need on this one. This is my staple question with Tennis Ninja. If you could give a tip, one tip to an aspiring junior player or a total beginner, what would that be? What would you want them to know?
It's really important to understand throughout your competitive career and your life, you're so concerned with your results. What happened at the end, the score, results are arbitrary, and they only mean that much to you. Don't worry what everybody else thinks. If you played poorly or even you played great, if you won or you lost, don't get too high, don't get too low, don't let it affect you the way you think other people are thinking of you. It's most of the time those people are only thinking about the situations they're going through. If we all realize that the person that not everybody's looking at us after we make a mistake and thinking, oh man, look, that person messed up, I feel bad for that person. Let it go. The results that you had are arbitrary. The effort that you put in, the way you carry yourself, that's what matters. Don't worry what other people think about you. Make sure that you're proud of what you did. Don't get down on yourself, and just understand you're going to deal with really good and really bad things throughout your life. It's all about how you handle it. So that's the big thing, is don't worry about the outside. Take care of you and there are going to be tough days, and there's going to be great days, but don't let the bad ones get you down, because I promise you, there is no one out there thinking less of you because you had a bad day on the tennis court. So you can never think less of yourself because of it.
Jared, you have the stage right now. I wanted to leave time for closing thoughts. Is there anything you'd like to say to the Hawaii tennis community out there?
Yeah, I think it's just a continuation of what I was saying about what makes me so happy that I'm here, is that we are so lucky to live in Hawaii and be a part of this tennis community here. It really, a lot of places don't have what we have. Obviously, with night doubles, our big tournament that kind of is a reunion every year. Everybody comes back together to watch it. That kind of sets the tone every year for what's going to happen as far as our relationships go. The friendships that I've made here are unbelievable, and I just think that I hope everybody appreciates the wonderful thing it is to be a part of the tennis community in Hawaii. And if you ever leave Hawaii, if you move away, or if you travel to a tournament, or you're just on vacation and you're on a tennis court, take what we have here and bring it out there to the rest of the world. We have done something special. Tennis is not doing wonderfully around the world as far as popularity goes. It is extremely popular in Hawaii. It's crazy popular here with us in Kailua. And every time you get a chance to show someone else who hasn't experienced it what it's like and what we do here, I hope you take that opportunity to do so. And I promise I'm going to do the same thing, and we make each other proud that way.
Jared Carstenn, thank you so much for being here on Tennis Ninja today. And guys, thank you for tuning in as well. Guys, I will include links in the descriptions down below for the Kailua Racquet Club if you want to go check it out. Maybe even some highlights from the night doubles in previous years. And yes, guys, I have been cranking highlights out. There are plenty night doubles highlights. So watch for future weeks. Every 4 or 5 days, I'll release a highlight. And look for Kailua. There'll be a lot of videos on the map coming out soon. Thank you again for joining us, you guys. I hope to see you next time on Tennis Ninja TV. God bless and aloha.